Imagine walking through life unshaken by anything. What if the secret to true strength isn't in reacting to the storm, but in learning how to stand still in the middle of it? Have you ever been in a room full of noise, chaos, opinions flying from every direction, and yet, deep inside, something tells you to be still? What if I told you that real strength isn't always shown through how loud you shout, but in how calmly you stand? In a world that tries to provoke, pressure, and pull you in every direction, there is a powerful calling on your life to act as if nothing bothers you. Not because you're pretending, but because you've tapped into a peace the world can't shake. Cut 2 powerful visuals of people staying calm in storms, silent in conflict, and smiling in difficulty. This message isn't about faking it, it's about mastering it. Your emotions, your reactions, your atmosphere. We're going to walk through 6 powerful truths that will shift your mindset, protect your peace, and help you rise above every situation with quiet confidence and spiritual strength. So don't scroll, don't click away, because by the end of this video you'll be equipped not just to survive pressure, but to carry peace like a weapon. Stay with me. This might be the reminder your soul's been waiting for. Emotional self-control is not just about holding your tongue or keeping your temper in check. For the believer, it is a spiritual discipline. It is the ability to remain steady when everything in your flesh is crying out for a reaction. In a world where offense is easily taken and responses are often impulsive, emotional self-control sets you apart. It is a mark of maturity and spiritual wisdom. It is not weakness. It is the very evidence of strength. Anyone can lose control. Anyone can lash out. But it takes a grounded person to stay composed under pressure. To control one's emotions is to govern the heart. And the heart, as we know, is the wellspring of life. Carry peace, not panic. Grace, not grudges. Anger, frustration, anxiety. These are all very real human emotions, and they're not inherently wrong, but what we do with them is what defines us. The moment you're offended, the moment someone speaks against you or disappoints you, that moment becomes a fork in the road. Do you respond out of emotion, or do you respond out of understanding? There's a cost to emotional reactions. Words spoken in a moment of anger can do damage that takes years to repair. Decisions made in haste can lead to consequences that last a lifetime. But emotional self-control guards us from that kind of destruction. It keeps us aligned with a higher way of living. There is power in choosing stillness when your emotions want to stir chaos. There is power in choosing silence when your pride wants to speak. There is power in choosing gentleness when your instincts want to defend. These choices are not always easy, but they are always fruitful. You start to realize that your peace is too valuable to trade for temporary satisfaction, that your energy is too sacred to spend on every offense, and that your destiny is too important to be sidetracked by emotional reactions. Practicing emotional self-control doesn't mean you become numb or indifferent. It means you become wise enough to know that not everything deserves your reaction, that your feelings are valid, but they are not the guide, that just because you can say something doesn't mean you should, that choosing calm isn't a form of surrender, it's a statement of trust. It says, I don't have to fight every battle, I don't have to defend my name, I don't have to prove my worth, because inner stability speaks louder than outer noise. It is in the quietness of your spirit that you'll hear the clearest guidance. And when your emotions are no longer the loudest voice in your life, you begin to move with intentionality. You speak with wisdom, you act with clarity. You become someone who is not easily shaken, someone who lives not from reaction, but from revelation. Emotional self-control transforms the way you interact with others, the way you make decisions, the way you carry yourself in hard seasons. It turns you into a person of peace in a world full of panic, and that in itself becomes a testimony. Peace is not the absence of problems. It is the presence of stability in the midst of them. For the believer, peace is not something the world can give or take away. It is not dependent on who's in your corner, what's in your bank account, or how smooth your path is. True peace is rooted deep within, anchored in something far greater than circumstances. When everything around you is shaking, it's this internal peace that holds you together. It quiets the noise, silences the fear, and reminds you that chaos does not have the final say. The world teaches us to chase comfort, to avoid pain, and to find peace in perfect conditions. But the truth is, if your peace is based on everything going right, you will rarely have it. Because life doesn't come without storms. People disappoint, plans fail, the unexpected happens. But when your peace comes from within, when it's been planted deep through faith, nothing on the outside can destroy what you've cultivated on the inside. You can be surrounded by pressure and still not fold. You can be overlooked and still feel secure. You can walk through conflict and still carry calm. This kind of peace does not come from ignoring reality, but from seeing reality through the eyes of faith. It's the quiet confidence that even when you don't understand everything, you don't need to. It's knowing that your heart doesn't have to follow the emotional roller coaster of every situation. It's choosing to be still when your flesh wants to panic, choosing to believe when your mind wants to doubt, and choosing to rest when the world tells you to worry. Peace from within is a posture. It is a choice to protect your atmosphere. It is the understanding that not everything deserves your energy, and not every storm requires your participation. Just because there is tension doesn't mean you have to be tense. Just because there is drama doesn't mean you have to be dramatic. You are not called to mirror the world's anxiety. You are called to reflect something higher, something unshakable. When you have peace within, you become a thermostat, not a thermometer. You don't just reflect what's going on around you. You set the tone. The greatest battles are often not external, they are internal. And when you win the war within, the outside starts to lose its power over you. That's why peace within is not a luxury. It's a necessity. Without it, every little thing will offend you. Every delay will frustrate you. Every conflict will drain you. But when you have it, you can walk into difficult spaces and not be consumed. You can hear criticism and not be crushed. You can endure seasons of uncertainty and still hold your head high. Peace within is evidence of maturity. It's the sign that you've stopped letting your environment dictate your spirit, that you've stopped tying your emotional well-being to temporary things, that you've come to realize real peace isn't found in what you control, but in how you surrender. It's found in knowing that your security is not up for negotiation. It's already been settled. So while others chase validation, you can rest in identity. While others scramble for approval, you can walk in assurance. While others respond in fear, you can stand in quiet strength. When peace becomes your foundation, your entire life begins to change. You stop living in reaction. You stop getting pulled into every whirlwind. You stop looking for external confirmation to feel steady. Because you already know. You're grounded, you're covered, you're centered. That calm, steady, unmovable presence you carry, it's power. And it's the kind of peace that the world cannot understand, yet cannot ignore. Strength through stillness is one of the most overlooked, yet most powerful expressions of spiritual maturity. In a fast-pacing world that equates movement with progress and noise with authority, The ability to remain still is a mark of uncommon strength. Stillness is not laziness or passivity. It is not doing nothing. It is doing the most important thing. Trusting in what cannot be seen, while standing firm in what you believe. It's in stillness that you hear the whisper of divine wisdom. It's in stillness that your perspective shifts, and clarity replaces confusion. There is a kind of strength that only emerges in silence. When you resist the urge to retaliate, when you choose not to respond to every accusation, when you remain unmoved in the face of pressure, this is strength. The world may not recognize it as such because it's not loud or flashy. It's not aggressive, but it is immovable. It is stable. It is anchored in something deeper than emotions and stronger than circumstances. Stillness is not weakness. It is self-control wrapped in grace. It is the refusal to be shaken by the chaos around you, because your peace does not come from external sources. Stillness reveals trust. When you remain calm in the face of adversity, it sends a message that your confidence isn't built on whether things go your way. You don't have to strive to prove anything. You don't need to force outcomes or manipulate situations. You understand that some things are beyond your control, and that's not a threat to your faith. It's a confirmation of it. True strength doesn't panic when timelines don't match expectations. True strength knows when to move and when to wait, when to speak and when to stay silent, when to fight and when to be still. There's a discipline in stillness that reshapes the way you handle conflict. Instead of reacting impulsively, you pause. Instead of matching energy with energy, you keep your composure. Instead of rushing to defend yourself, you stand with quiet dignity. You begin to recognize that your value isn't proven by how quickly you respond, but by how wisely you respond. There is weight in your silence. There is power in your patience. There is purpose in your pause. When you remain still, you allow space for truth to rise, for emotions to settle, and for clarity to enter the room. The strength found in stillness doesn't mean you're unaffected. It means you've learned how to channel what you feel instead of being led by it. It means you've discovered that every storm does not require your voice, every argument does not need your opinion, and every situation does not demand your energy. You are no longer a slave to reaction. You're guided by discernment. You move from a place of assurance, not insecurity. You're not striving to be seen or heard. You already know who you are. Stillness is also where your spirit gets recharged. In the silence, you regain your focus. You remember what matters. You detach from distractions. In that sacred quiet, your heart becomes soft again, your mind becomes clear again, and your strength becomes renewed again. This is not just about surviving conflict, it's about transforming in the midst of it. When you practice stillness, you start to see life differently. You begin to respond with wisdom instead of wrath. And when people see you standing firm, not because you fought harder, but because you trusted deeper, they begin to understand that stillness is not the absence of strength, it is the expression of it. That behind your quiet confidence is a well of endurance, discipline, and unwavering faith. That kind of stillness shakes rooms, shifts atmospheres, and silences opposition. Not with noise, but with undeniable power. Guarding your spirit is a sacred responsibility. In a world that constantly throws negativity, conflict, and distraction your way, keeping your inner life protected is not just wise, it's essential. The condition of your spirit determines the direction of your life. When your spirit is weighed down by offense, bitterness, or constant emotional reaction, it becomes harder to hear clearly, think clearly, and live. You cannot carry peace if your spirit is constantly agitated. You cannot walk in purpose if you're always entangled in every little issue that arises. That's why guarding your spirit means making intentional choices about what you allow to affect you. Not every offense deserves a reaction. Not every conflict needs your presence. Some things are meant to be released, not wrestled with. The moment you take everything personally is the moment you give everyone the power to disrupt your peace. Guarding your spirit requires discernment. It means knowing when to speak and when to stay silent. It means understanding that protecting your peace isn't pride. It's wisdom. It means choosing not to carry what you were never meant to hold. Your spirit is too valuable to be weighed down by things that don't matter in the long run. When you guard your spirit, you become selective with your battles. You stop jumping into every argument just to prove a point. You realize that peace is more powerful than being right. That maturity looks like walking away from drama without feeling the need to explain yourself. That true strength is being unbothered in environments where others expect you to break down. Guarding your spirit is not about building walls to keep people out. It's about building boundaries to keep your peace in. It's about keeping your heart tender, but your spirit strong. You begin to see that the real battle is not what's happening around you. It's what's happening inside of you. Offense, jealousy, pride, insecurity. They all seek access to your spirit. But when you are intentional about guarding it, you begin to move with a quiet kind of authority. The kind that doesn't need validation. The kind that doesn't need applause. The kind that isn't shaken by small things. Because your spirit is anchored, your mind is clear, and your emotions are no longer running the show. That's what it means to be truly free. Walking in confidence is not about pride or arrogance. It's about knowing who you are and whose you are. When you truly understand your identity, you stop seeking approval from people and start living from a place of assurance. Confidence rooted in spiritual truth is unshakable because it doesn't rely on changing circumstances or human opinions. It comes from an inner knowing that you are not here by accident, that your steps are ordered, and that your life carries divine purpose. This kind of confidence doesn't need to be loud to be powerful. It shows up in quiet resilience, in calm responses, in the ability to stand tall even when everything around you is uncertain. When you walk in confidence, you're not easily swayed by rejection, criticism, or delay. You understand that none of those things define you. People may overlook you, but you don't shrink. Situations may challenge you, but you don't fold. You carry yourself with grace because you trust that your worth isn't up for debate. That's the kind of confidence that keeps you grounded. It allows you to move through life with boldness, without being reckless, and with humility, without being timid. You become someone who knows when to speak and when to stay silent, when to press forward and when to wait in faith. This confidence isn't manufactured. It's cultivated through intimacy with truth. It's what happens when you've walked through fire and realized you didn't burn. When you've faced loss and found strength. When you've been underestimated and still overcame. It teaches you that you don't need to fight to be seen. You are already chosen. You don't need to fear being misunderstood. Because your identity isn't found in other people's perception. You don't need to chase opportunities. Because what's meant for you will always find you when you're walking in alignment. Walking in confidence means you no longer walk with the weight of comparison or the burden of proving yourself. You walk with clarity. You walk with conviction. And you walk with the kind of light that others notice, not because you're trying to be noticed, but because confidence always makes a quiet statement. It says, I know who I am. I know where I'm going. And I know I don't have to let anything outside of me disturb what has already been settled inside me. Respond, don't react. That principle carries deep spiritual weight. Reaction is immediate, emotional, and often unfiltered. It's what happens when the flesh takes the lead and the spirit is silenced. Reaction often stems from offense, pride, fear, or frustration, and it rarely brings peace. But response, that is intentional, measured, and rooted in wisdom. To respond is to pause, to reflect, and to act from a place of discernment rather than impulse. It's choosing purpose over provocation and maturity over emotion. For the believer, this difference is crucial. You are called to live led by the Spirit, not driven by feelings. That means your words, actions, and decisions must come from a place of clarity, not chaos. When someone offends you, reacting may feel satisfying in the moment, but it rarely produces fruit. A sharp word may win the argument, but it can lose the relationship. A defensive tone may silence the critic, but it can stain your witness. Responding, on the other hand, gives room for grace. It allows space for wisdom to speak and for peace to stay intact. Responding doesn't mean you're weak or passive. It means you've mastered the strength of self-control. It means you trust that not everything deserves your energy, and not every situation needs your immediate input. There's power in choosing your response carefully, especially when emotions are high and tensions are thick. Spiritual maturity teaches you that being right is not always the most important thing. Being righteous is. Sometimes the greatest strength is shown in your restraint. When you respond instead of react, you protect your character, your peace, and your purpose. You show that your identity is not controlled by others' behavior. You show that your emotions are submitted, not suppressed. You show that you are rooted, not rattled. Responding allows room for the Holy Spirit to guide your next move. It keeps your heart soft and your spirit sensitive. It keeps you in alignment with truth rather than trapped in temporary emotions. It allows you to remain calm, composed, and Christ-like in environments that invite the opposite. And in a world full of quick tempers and constant conflict, your ability to respond with grace and wisdom becomes a rare and powerful light. It becomes a reflection of the strength that comes not from reaction but from art. In a world that constantly pulls at your peace, tests your patience, and challenges your character, choosing to act as if nothing bothers you is not denial, it is discipline. It is the fruit of emotional self-control, the evidence of a peace that runs deeper than chaos, the power found in stillness, the wisdom of guarding your spirit, the quiet strength of walking in true confidence, and the maturity to respond with grace instead of reacting in emotion. When you live from this place, you're not just protecting your mind, you're honoring your calling. You become a light in dark spaces, a steady presence in shaky moments, and a reflection of divine strength in a noisy, reactive world. This isn't about faking strength. It's about drawing from the well that never runs dry. And when you live this way long enough, it won't just look like nothing bothers you. It will become your truth, your posture, and your power. Thank you for your open hearts, your listening ears, and the spirit of unity in this space. May these words not just inspire you, but equip you to walk with unwavering peace, grounded strength, and quiet confidence in every season. Be blessed and stay anchored.